Hi everybody.
Well, hi.
So sorry we missed next week. Last week. Sorry, we missed last week. Bit sick, still am. So my voice sounded like shit. So I didn't want to. We tried to record actually, and it was just
It was
really bad. So we canceled it. So hopefully my voice will not sound as nasal this week as it was last week. Anyway,
But you didn't have anything serious, right?
Nah,
It was just
it's
the
fine.
flu.
it's the flu in, and I trained really heavy, so I got tired. Yeah, whatever.
Was it COVID? It just came back and just
Exactly.
has a
Don't
new.
that we just got demonetized. I mean, we don't monetize anyway, but
So
we just got shadow banned again. Anyway,
Actually, the part that we did record last week was so.
there was some funny moments. Anyway.
Was so anti-woke. Actually, maybe it's good
Yeah.
that we didn't put it out because
Yeah, we'll get shadow banned
we
again.
would
Yeah,
get
we'll
like
kicked off YouTube.
it would kick
Anyway,
off YouTube.
at this stage, so don't care. Anyway, actually, I wanted to make a podcast about that, like information. I think we're having way too much information overall. Anyway, that's for another day. What I wanted to talk about today is I came around. I was thinking about what I would do for a podcast today, talking about strength, intensity, and all of that. And actually, I had an epiphany that I think it is time to create a Strongfit system. So it was always the Strongfit principles, and I refuse really to build I build templates, but I refuse to have a Strongfit programming in a way, right? And actually, I am coming around to creating a Strongfit system. So I want to tell you what I plan on doing with that. I'm going to explain to you what I think the system is, and then I'm going to explain you my thought process as I go through it. So, Strongfit system. So what would it be? So we're going to have a push, a pull, a squat, and a hinge, and a carry. Then John, right? Get those 5. If you guys remember from the movement box, I was using the load, the carry, and the hold. So all right, so we're going to divide that into 5 days, right? 1 day for squat, 1 day for press, 1 day for hinge, 1 day for carry. We're actually going to have 2 days for pressing, and then the pull will be split a little bit everywhere. I'm going to explain. So I'm going to give you actually a day by day so that I can explain what the system will look like. So let's say first day it's squatting. So my idea for the system would be this. We will have 2 exercises. We're going to have a main exercise that represents the movement that I think are better for the squat movement pattern. And the second exercise we're going to use to fix whatever went wrong for the first one. So we're not going to build over 10 weeks. We're going to exercise, and right away, we're going to go into, into another compound exercise that will address the weakness that we saw on the movement that day.
Okay.
Right?
Interesting.
Is it an activation problem? Is it a structural problem? Yeah.
So
that's what we're going to do.
For an example, would be the barbell back
for
squat.
example, one can choose a barbell back squat. It could be a sandbag squat. It could be a sandbag front squat. It could be a safety squat bar. It could be a box squat, like the box squat. So my idea was to choose probably, because what I want to do is I want to rotate every week. So 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks some exercise, or every week, depending on how much work you need on it. But let's say a 2-week period where we do the same exercise every 2 weeks, and we have 4 to 5 exercises we use as a main squat. So 1 week would be sandbag squat. The next week would be the box squat. The week after that would be the safety squat bar, right? Mm-hmm. Then we can have a regular back squat, and then we can use even the sandbag front squat as the main one, because I do believe it belongs in the main one.
I do.
But let's say we do the back squat. So that's the first exercise. We're going to take it to 1 set of max weight for X number of reps, 3 to 5 reps. So super heavy, right? Second set, we're going to address, it reminds you of the conjugate system a lot.
Yeah, that's
actually.
what
where I got it from. Yeah.
I was about to ask.
Except the difference from the conjugate system is the use of a lot of isolation work and specific powerlifting stuff, where we're going to be more broad into our approach. We're not going to use just the powerlifting stuff. We're going to go into strongman as well. So for example, we have the barbell back squat. We see that the person gets stuck right out of the hole, they can't go up, right? So no, it's not, because for example, if they were stuck at the bottom of the hole on the squat, I would make them do a pause squat. But if it's coming out of the hole, we'll do an Anderson squat as a second movement. Right. If the weight is just heavy on their back, then we can do a yoke carry. So, but based on that exercise, if I do it with a safety squat bar, it's a different thing. Safety squat bar weighs a lot on the upper back, so that might be the issue. So then we're going back to an exercise that will address that particular. And for example, I like the box squats because it's very dynamic. Mm-hmm. You come in, and then you have to explode straight up. So I have a box squat, you realize you just don't have the glutes. Well, that's easy, sandbag squats as a second exercise. We can use it as a first exercise, but we can also use it as a second exercise to address the weakness that we saw on the first one.
Interesting.
And so I would rotate the first exercise like that every week to every 2 weeks, which would mean a rotation of the second type of exercise based on what happened on the first.
Okay.
So what is good about that is that means you always have to be aware of what you just did on that exercise.
Right.
And it'll be one set, maybe two, but honestly one set. The second set will never be as heavy as the first set because otherwise it means that you just didn't push on the first set, right? So we could back off by 5 to 10% and do a second set if we need the extra work on. But the second exercise will be chosen based on what we saw on the first one. And if you see, that's going to basically make us rotate all the types of squats, but always based on, for example, someone has a very slow squat, like with a barbell squat, second would be box squat. Yeah. Because then it's just, and then maybe we can use bends or stuff like that. I like bends for specific things.
Yeah, we have. I like it because we have a bit been doing that in my template where we do like a main exercise and then the second. And I love that 2-second exercise idea.
Right.
I really like, but still 2 compound movements.
Right, still 2 compound movements, no isolation.
Yeah.
Because that's the key. Like one of the reasons I didn't want to do like the Strongfit system in that sense is that the isolation stuff and everything, I was like, I know it's necessary, but I don't like it. You know what? I changed my mind. I don't think it's necessary. I think isolation is, for what I talked about on the podcast, is actually wrong because of everything. There are no solutions, only trade-offs. I believe the trade-off on the mental side for isolation makes it not worth it. Of course, isolation work can work, but the trade-off on the mental stuff, I believe is not worth it. So we're going to stay with those 2 compound movements. If I need a third one that I would do, I'm going to put most of the carries on the last day, but I can always do, for example, the sled sprint or a sled drag. If I feel like I have a quad issue, then I can always do the sled drag as a third exercise, as a carry exercise to finish it. Yeah. So that would be like, for example, I could do even a box squat as the main movement, right? But I feel it's a lot of weight on my back, like my upper back cannot take it. Then I would do Anderson squat. Yeah. Same thing, 1 set, 5 reps, max weight. Then I finish with a drag. Yeah. 1 drag, max distance, full intensity. So that would basically smoke my legs. Next day would be the press. So we're going to have 2 pressing days because we're going to have a bench day. And we're going to have a overhead day.
Okay.
Right. So,
okay, I like.
Right. So the bench day, what you see in most people issues is always like benching with the pecs or the shoulders instead of benching with the triceps, for example. So as a main movement, we could do bench press. We can do pin presses. Pin press could also be used as a second movement, and I'm going to explain why. Most people lack tricep strength. So honestly, and then since we're powerlifting, but we're strong men, so it's a lot of triceps. So instead of doing normal bench press on Tuesday, we're going to do close grip. Every stuff is going to be close grip toward developing the pressing strength to the triceps. So that would be Tuesday. Let's say I do close grip bench press, right? So tricep isn't there. I have a tendency to use my pecs or my shoulders too much. So then what we're going to do in the second exercise is we're going to stay in the same planar movement, so laying flat, but we're going to do pin presses, which means starting off. And the reason I like pin presses is you cannot drive with the legs. You're going to have to find the tension through the triceps in order to press, not through the pecs. So we're going to do pin presses. And for example, I'm going to make, for people that use their shoulders too much, I'm going to use a lot of bends so that it rocks their shoulders back and they learn to just extend the arm instead of rocking with the pecs and shoulders.
The pin press with bends is
right. So, but
interesting.
So if I put the pin press with bends first, most people will struggle so much. Yeah. The stimulus is not enough.
Okay, yes.
Right, so I, in the first movement, I can use some of my favorites. So, for example, close grip bench press. Yes. I like the push-ups with weight because I can actually put a lot of weight, aka you, on my back and do that. So it's actually, it's quite, stressful, everything. But then I would move to the...
Is that how you describe my weight? Quite stressful?
No, that's how I describe you, honey. So I would do the pin press with bands as a second movement.
Yeah.
And then third, if I wanted to do something, I could do the GM press downs, or I could do, like, that's kind of isolation. So maybe I'll do GM push-ups, maybe at the third exercise if I want to. Or I could just do the sled presses. That would be, to me, the best exercise.
For me too, I think
would
so,
finish Monday with the sled drags. I would finish Tuesday pressing with a sled press. Right? Lots of blood, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? So
especially
that's
if you have like a narrow sled, that's the triceps.
So
murder.
The pull, we have to put it somewhere. So since it is press day, I'm going to put a pull exercise in there. Right,
oh,
so
okay.
I can put, so we can do row pull into sled press.
Yeah.
Or I could put my bend over rows on Tuesday. I could, for example, do my strongman rows on Tuesday. So then that's my pull, right? So it's a push-pull type of thing. That's Tuesday. Thursday, we rested. We're going to go toward the hinge. Right, so the hinge is all my forms of deadlift. Right, and then, so when you deadlift, what is the issue? Hammies, glutes, lower back. Based on that, we're going to choose the second exercise. So for example, you could do deadlift off of blocks. I like those a lot. And then after that, or even deadlift off of blocks is great. But for example, a heavy sandbag clean, that's a form of hinge, right? So that one counts.
Fuck yeah.
Like, so taking a huge sandbag over bar, that counts as your hinge day. The stone, like lifting it, even though there's two movements. The first one is a pure hinge, and then you do more like a squat movement, the second one, but it's still so much lower back and glutes.
I was going to say, like, hinge. I feel like the sandbag clean or sandbag over something, like,
so much glutes,
low,
right?
And low back, it just makes it so strong.
So we can use it as a main movement.
So strong.
That being said, the lift is very important. So for example, we could use that, since it's such a back day, we could do deadlift off of blocks on the first exercise, or even deadlift off of the floor, or something like that. And second exercise could be sandbag clean, or we could use a stiff leg, right? If you have not enough hammies, or something like that, of that nature, right? And then third exercise, if we wanted one, that's where we put the row pulls. We just finish. We just finish the lats, but it's a lot of lats. So since we're gonna go more toward the hinge, for example, we could do the chainsaw rope pulls. Remember those ones?
Yes.
That'd be a great way to finish. So we do 1, 2, 3 to finish with the blood flow, where we use the Strongfit movement as the third one. So for example, deadlift off our blocks, right? Stiff leg into chainsaw rope pull. Like, your posterior chain would be smoked. That's a lot. But your posterior chain would be smoked, right? So now we get to Thursday. So to Friday now.
Because then you have like squat, push, rest day, pull.
Push, carry. Right, so now the push, we're going to do shoulders. Right, so the lower back is smoked from Thursday, so we'll have to be a bit careful about the clean, but we're going to mostly focus on push press, push jerks. So we could do the one arm press heavy there. I think it's a good building movement, but that's the place for the log. That's the place for the monster dumbbell that I like so much. That's where you would put your push presses if you do Olympic weightlifting, even your jerks if your back is not too smoked from the day before. That's why we're going to put the main movement for the press. And this one, I want speed. So not strict press. We're going to do push presses or jerks. I want speed of the shoulder, so that we go toward legs and triceps, legs and triceps, legs and triceps. I mean, because that's the proper way.
Okay.
And then after that, we could use a pin press. For example, if you still have a problem with the shoulder, not enough triceps, we could do pin presses, shoulder press with bands, for example. That's way. But also an exercise that I love is I use the yoke, and I put it about eye level, and I pin press it, strict press. And then as I get tired, I start using my legs to get even more out of it. So I actually can push my shoulders really far, my pressing strength really far using a yoke that way.
Yeah, and I really like the grip of the yoke,
right,
too.
Exactly,
like
because it's a fat bar. But like, as you get tired, you can start putting more legs. So that means you go under even more. So and then you can really push the fatigue. That's an exercise that I like a lot.
I really like that one too.
So if I were to do the lock first, for example, I could do the monster dumbbell for reps, even, or I can do the pin presses depending if I need the triceps versus shoulder, depending on the weaknesses, right? Same thing. And then at the end of that, that's where you could put the rope pulls, for example. Right?
Yeah, if you didn't do them on the pull day, or you just do them twice.
Right. No, you could do it on that day. But so, for example, or you could do dumbbell rows.
Oh yeah.
Because heavy
So one day
dumbbell
you do
rows,
like either strongman rows, the other day you do
because
like
dumbbell rows will take less of your lower back, right? Since we deadlifted the day before, my back is tired, but dumbbell rows, it's a good moment to do dumbbell rows, right? Heavy dumbbell rows, you can do less taxing than the rest. You can do it a lot, right? And then the Saturday will be my carry day. So then, if I did the yoke carry, obviously I wouldn't do. If I already did it, I would put the farmer's walk, for example, or something like that. Or if I didn't do the yoke carry, that's where I would put it. So farmer carry, yoke carry, row pull. If I didn't put it on that week, that's where it would go. Sled sprints, sled drags, all the strong fit stuff that I didn't do during the week. I'm gonna shove it on Saturday for a big session.
Would you
sandbag carries?
Yes, well,
obviously.
Right.
So I'll put that on Saturday.
Yeah, and would you want to do the farmer's carry on the deadlift day, or would that be too much?
You could do as well.
I like that.
That could even be your main movement.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you do like a low pickup, very heavy, that's your deadlift day.
Yeah.
Because so what you do is you pick up heavy. You walk not too long, 20. Maybe
don't do
like
350 meters.
You do 50 feet, put it down, turn around, and pick up.
Yeah.
And then calculate that the whole thing will take you about 4 pickups for a max distance every 50 feet or whatever, so that you would work on your deadlift portion with a heavy pickup and still carrying, which will smoke your hammies.
And your grip is gonna
grip and your hammies. With the grip, we're gonna talk about working everything. But so the idea is to have a 1, 2, 3 like that, but to not go toward isolation, to stay toward sorry, different iPad, so I have to check. To stay toward a system geared toward the strong fit principles, but toward the West scale with the A now, so it's a WESA scale now, and then the S pyramid. And then that's racist. And then the
this is racist.
No, it's every time I say that, no mind, because that reminds me of the Last Samurai. When the guy says too many mind, no mind.
You can't say it without an accent.
In California, everybody looks at. They all hate me in California now anyway. So at this stage, plus I have a young wife, so you all hate me. It's all good. Anyway,
it's all good.
You should hate me, because if you know my whole life. Anyway,
are we going back to our threesome relationship with strength?
Exactly. Yes.
It's
a good relationship. It's all about balance. Yes. A tripod is a very stable structure. Is all I'm going to say.
This is starting to become a different podcast.
Yeah, all of this. Altogether, we should do that podcast. By the way, people will be like, we want to know more. Anyway, where was I? Shit.
We'll keep it to our...
The S pyramid, the WESA scale, I mean, obviously the movement box, but I'm going to remove the stuff that I think are bad trade-offs. Isolation work, all that stuff. So we're going to go movement patterns and basically compound movement with all the strong fit stuff. So there will be... And the compound movement, honestly, I don't think I'm going to put that much barbell. There'll be some deadlift here and there. No, I think...
Not so much barbell.
No, I know. And the more I see, it's a very convenient way of training. It's very practical for certain things, but overall, I don't think the trade-off is worth it. The grip, everybody hooks grip. We need to work on the grip, for example. One of the things that got me a very strong grip was working with stones all the time, because you have that open hand. Squeeze really hard, that strengthen your hands in a way that you'll just never do with a barbell. Like that whole pronated with a close hand grip all the time, especially with a hook. It's just, the barbell has its own, and again, it's not to criticize the barbell, I'm just saying there are trade-offs with everything, right? I think at least we need to broaden our mind when it comes to how to train. So yeah, so a lot of people will go, what about CrossFit? What about this? It's like, all right, so if you are inclined to do that, out of the 5 days, we put 2 conditioning, 2 CrossFit workouts in it.
Or don't be a pussy and just do it later in the day.
Right, sometimes not people don't necessarily have the time. But so in that case, what I would do is I would take out the third exercise and put the CrossFit workout.
Yeah, you can finish with that. Plus, there's plenty of things you can do with a sandbag.
That will be up to you. I will create the strong fit system based on what I think is correct, or at least for me. Let's put it this way. So that will be the strong fit system, and people will be able to customize it a little bit based on what their needs are. But so, because I was thinking about, I want to do, I actually feel like doing seminars and all that stuff, and I was like, all right, well, what am I going to offer this time around? Are we going to talk about the same thing, the S pyramid? Like people know by now, it's been so long. I'm like, where is the Strongfit going? Because I've always criticized CrossFit for not having an evolution of their training system, which I think to this day still think is the problem within CrossFit. So I was like, then I better fix it within Strongfit then. And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to do a system. And I was like, okay, why? Because of things like isolation, I was like, I'm not putting that in. Because I don't do it. I don't like doing it. I just couldn't formulate it correctly. So
yeah,
now
you didn't have it figured out in your own head yet.
Not in my own head. So now, and honestly, what is helping me creating the system is all the work that I've done on the anxiety side with Dr. Nasser. Because I can tell you, this is an opinion, maybe I'm wrong, but I'll tell you what I see from my side, that everything is about resilience. It's just exposure therapy. That's what exposure therapy builds. It builds resilience. Everything is resilience. And you know how you get to resilience? Intensity. You have two ways to get to intensity. Very heavy or sled type stuff. Low waist exercise that you take to the max.
Like a sled or a friend if you will.
A sled or stuff like that. So there are two ways to build intensity. Heavy work, intense work. Intense work not in the sense high percentage, more like sled stuff, right? So, which has always been the base of what I do anyway. That was like on the barbell shrug, how I killed the guys. It was that. It was heavy to the max, low waist. All right, so let's have a Strongfit system based on the low waist and the S pyramid, which are still the two cornerstone of everything that I've done anyway. So I was like, all right, so now I'm ready to create that system. So, and of course, so you understand also, like, for example, when I talk about the second exercise, right, so what do you like, internal torque or external torque? So you're coming out of the hole and you can push your hips forward. That's on the squat, that's that jump pattern. That's external torque. All right, so the first exercise is a basic movement. The second exercise will address the internal torque versus, external torque imbalance that you have.
Okay. So I can, well, then it starts, you start to, because then you can go into like, okay, internal torque, external, like myotomes, like which exercise fall into those places of certain
because we
weaknesses.
have the map of the internal torque versus external torque, and some people are using, anyway, that's still.
You're welcome, bitches.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but now, if you look at the map of the myotomes, then you know exactly which myotome is for internal torque, external torque.
You can even create movements based on that, like per category and okay.
So that's the system I have in mind.
Yes.
But based on that idea of the S pyramid and everything, which means we're going to carry a lot, we're going to do the main Strongfit movement a lot. And no, there won't be that much barbell, but it'll be the main, because that's what I do, right? And then that's the main exercise, right? And then the second exercise, we'll use the same compound movement we use for everything, but with an idea toward, are we addressing internal torque or external torque? What is the issue that we saw on the first one? What I like about that is it forces you to pay attention to the first exercise.
Forces you, and it forces you to pay attention week by week, because it will constantly be like, okay, it depends on what. Like, I'm gonna address this with this movement for 4 weeks, but then maybe after 4 to 6 weeks, exactly. You have to constantly.
I need to address that. So that there's a rotation, but the rotation also, I believe, is part of strength. Like my issue with the conjugate system was always this was designed for a very specific type of powerlifting with equipment and everything. And yes, it works for raw as well, but it's a very specific thing toward powerlifting. I just don't think strength is powerlifting. Does that make sense? Like, for example, Haftor is someone who trains extensively toward powerlifting, and statically speaking, is stronger than anybody right now. Right, but he finished fourth at the Arnold Classic when he was trying to get to first, right? And he finishes fourth.
Yeah.
Why? Because he couldn't press the stone overhead. That stone is 300 pounds. He can put that much weight one hand overhead. He couldn't press the stone because of the awkward nature of it. He had to move a certain way. He's so big. He just didn't work on that. That's part of strength.
Yeah. Well, you can even argue that barbell is sport specific, where the sandbag and everything is training system.
I believe so.
And even CrossFit at this stage, you can argue that it's almost more of a sport, starting to become more of a sport,
CrossFit
right?
is a sport. But like, for example, 1 year, they did everything with dumbbells, I remember. And I thought that was a far superior way of doing things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm still sick, so I'm going to keep this podcast short. But what we're going to do is you guys going to tell me what you think about it, right? Even through private messages. And then Then I'll do a module, and then. But this is where I'm gonna go. So tell me also if you want to do a. Like I think I'm thinking about doing a seminar and including the system in it, so that we can start to program the Strongfit way. That's really what I'm thinking about, because then for the gyms that we have, or if you want to do a gym with me, like a Strongfit gym, then now we could have a programming toward that. So I actually want to do a Strongfit system, like a Strongfit gym, a Strongfit class.
Yeah, and it's because this you can actually this is very easy to adapt to any level, which
exactly
that is
which
the point,
is the point of the West scale.
Yeah,
but even with the anxiety stuff, because we're still with the abstract nature, so that should work. Anyway, we're gonna talk some more about that. We'll do another podcast next week.
Yeah, we'll do another.
I'm about to start coughing, so we'll keep it for next week, and then that way ask me questions, reach out, and then I'll talk about all that better next week.
I think you really have COVID.
Anyway, see you guys next week.
Ciao.